everyone, welcome to the studio. As you can hear, it is the end of spring in Australia and there is an absolute buzz in the air, literally, with all the cicadas, so I have to raise my voice above them today. Birds are chirping, there's lots of nature noises going on in the studio today. But I have been really excited and really looking forward to sharing this design with you today. It is for a table garland. So obviously we're going to create this centerpiece, with a beautiful Christmassy feel, which is when you would most likely use this particular design. But what I love about it is how versatile it is. So this garland base that I use is all botanical, all recyclable as per usual. But you can also use it for, other than a table, across a mantelpiece, up stairways, circling up your Christmas tree. So many applications. So let's get going. So with a table garland, you need to have some type of base to support all of the flowers and all the materials that you add. And I've tried quite a few over the years, but this one has become my favourite and it's in plentiful supply in the garden, and that is a branch or a cane of Banksia rose. So Banksia rose is a climbing, very rambling type rose. It's thornless, thank goodness, and you have these lovely big pliable canes. So you can see how long that is. So I try to pick the longest one or the one that will suit my table length. First of all, we're going to take off all the extra leaves. Just get rid of those. You can just simply pick them off, use your cutters, and just so that you have a lovely bare branch at the end. And what I love about this is that it's pliable, but also quite sturdy. And I would advise you to choose a branch of that sort of nature rather than something that's really rigid. Okay, so I've got a range of materials together. This particular table, I did say we're having a two-part today. So our second part of this design is actually styling our Christmas table. I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but I'm considering my colour palette that I'm using on the table today, which is all whites and silvers and greys and quite muted, and using a nice surprise of some stunning white flowers later that I'll share with you that will give it that real pop of colour and freshness. So the base is essentially these lovely greys and greens, apples from the garden. All right, let's get going. So just put your cane aside, and the way that I like to create the fullness and richness of a table garland is by creating little separate bundles. So we're creating separate bundles of a mixture of 3 or 4 materials. We're going to wire those up, and then we're going to essentially bind them onto the base. That way you find that it stays really secure. You've got a beautiful range and a mix of materials, but it allows you to create a really full effect rather than just putting, one stem at a time onto that cane. Okay, first of all, I love the ends of my garland to be quite cascading. I like it to cascade down the end of the table and not be too rigid. It needs to have some movement still. So this would be my go-to. It's peppercorn. As you can see, gorgeous movement, beautiful flow, and really long lasting out of water. I'm going to one piece of the peppercorn. This is a smoke bush. So my smoke bush is a green smoke bush, doesn't have a whole lot of colour, but I absolutely love the texture and that beautiful fluffy feel to it. 2 of these little silver leucadendrons, so maybe just there. And let's pop a little piece of Strelingia. So the Strelingia is fresh at the moment, and this is how you'll find it fresh, this beautiful silver grey. They do often dye this certain colours, you know, reds and purples, which is horrible, but I actually really love the silver, which is what it's naturally, the natural colour of it anyway. So a little bundle, just a little bundle like that. To tie up the bundle, I'm going to use just my 24 gauge wires cut in half. Put the wire across your thumb around halfway, pull that down and just grab one of the legs and tie it around. And that's our first little bundle. Put that aside, let's make a couple more. For this one, I try to mix it up so that they don't look exactly the same. So for this one, a little piece of this apple gum. Speaking of apples, I've picked the little baby apples off the tree before the birds eat them. Just take off a few of those little leaves so that we can see the apple. And for this one, we might use some of this beautiful silver kangaroo paw. Look at that, it's just stunning. And bringing that silver in with some silver Senecio. So this is Dusty Miller Senecio. I grow this. I tend to grow as many foliages as I can from my garden for my weddings and events and workshops. Really enjoy being able to pick them freshly when I want to. And again, the wire, pinch and wrap. Okay, let's make a couple more. A little bit more. So you really don't want to have your bunches too big or, I mean, tiny. It'll just take you forever to put it together. What did we have in this one? We had the Strelingia. So it's a really quite a repetitive, really meditative technique, this one. You know, you can really utilise so many parts of the material. You'll find that it's very economical to put together, and you're using, you know, every part of your plants and your flowers. Okay, another wire. I've made these for bridal tables, hanging out of a tree, you know, draping out of a tree. So many different ways. You can make them really soft and pretty. So what you'll notice is that, well, what you might be assuming is that all of this material is going to be out of water, and yes, it is. So it's really important that you understand what your material is going to do, how it's going to cope out of water, and remembering that for, you know, most events, they're only a matter of a few hours anyway. So if you were creating this for a luncheon, you could create the foliage part the day before. Enjoy that time sitting in the garden somewhere nice and quiet and putting on your music and creating this beautiful garland. And then add some of the softer elements the following day if you wanted to. A little bit of kangaroo paw. The kangaroo paw will dry, so will the Senecio. The apples will just start to, you know, shrivel, but over a long period of time. The gum will dry, so will the leucadendrons and the Strillingia. So I've used materials that I know are going to, one, cope out of water, cope in the heat, and also still look really fresh for my party, but dry beautifully as well. So these designs then can be hung up on a wall, you know, like a picture or a little art piece on your outdoor area. They can look really beautiful. All right, so let's start putting it together just so that I can show you how that attaches to the base. Okay, so for time's sake, I'll add these so that you can see how we begin. But essentially, I usually make about 10 or 12 bundles, just get into that rhythm of creating your bundles and then putting them all on together and just adding more as I need them. So let's get going. So this was my cascading one with the lovely peppercorn. And this is when you don't use your wire anymore. This is my favorite go-to, and it's bind wire. So it's actually essentially paper covered wire. What I find, it doesn't slip like regular wire, and string isn't ideal. If you start tying with string, you'll find that it unravels really easily. So I tend to use the bind wire. So go around, I'll just go a couple of times and tie that really tight onto the base of your Banksia rose. And then I just cut a length like that just so that it's easier to deal with. So just twist that really nice and tightly, and then just take the wire around that base just a couple of times, and then just leave it. Don't worry about it. It will hold tight there, or relatively tight, for enough for that one. So you can see that that would be the end of my garland. And now when we add the next ones, I just have a look and not add the same one next. Obviously do them alternate. I mean, you could create essentially 3 or 4 different types of bundles and then just be adding them, you know, alternatively all the way through. And then when we lay our second bundle, I just lay that on the side. So it's a little bit on an angle. And again, just take your bind wire and really tight, strong hands here. And take that around 3 or 4 times so that it's really, you can see that it's really nice and secure. It doesn't want to flop down or fall off or anything like that. Next little one, we'll take this over on that side. Loving these colours. This lovely green and silvery green. It's they're my sagey green. I love it. And then actually I'll lay that in the middle a little bit because I don't want my apples to be over on the same side. And then take that over to that side. So essentially we're in the middle, side, middle, side, middle, side. So just follow that same line as you go. Okay, so I'm just going to sit here and enjoy the noisy sounds of nature today, create my bundles all the way to the end of my cane to create probably a 2-meter table design that I cannot wait to show you how we're going to use it in dressing our absolutely beautiful Christmas table. So if you've got any questions, any comments, please pop them in the box below. You know I'll always leave you quite detailed design notes for this one, where I get all my materials from. The bind wire is a game changer. You definitely need to get yourself a roll of that if you're using this. And I look forward to seeing you soon when we dress the table.